You see, the thing is, folks, what you have to try and understand is, yeah, Michael Jackson, yeah, he grew up in Gary, Indiana, yeah, in the United States. And this was during the 60s, right? When Michael and his brothers were first trying to break through, and get a recording contract, you have to remember there were still Klansmen, yeah, who were senators and governors of Alabama, right? If you went down south, there was still apartheid, yeah? Blacks going one way, whites the other, etc. So you have to remember that when Michael was growing up, the United States was still very much extremely polarized, okay? This is when Malcolm X and Martin Luther King and, John F. Kennedy and Marilyn Monroe. Anyway, this was during that period, right? But, you see, a lot of us from the Caribbean, or anyway, I'm digressing. I'm starting to train my thought. A lot from the Caribbean, yes, or black children, right? Afro-Caribbeans had domineering fathers. Now, the cultural reasons for this, you could go into the whole thing of slavery and the slave being whipped and chastised, but not just that, I mean, amongst many cultures, I suppose the discipline being strict and being administered by a strong disciplinarian father figure. And not just that, I mean, even at school, you used to get caned if you were naughty and what have you. So there's a lot which can be said for being whipped or the belt being used on you. Anyway, I'm not quite making myself clear. So don't get on Joe Jackson's case too much, yeah? Because my father, used to give me licks and even my mother, yeah? So it's just part of the course, right? But, you see, the thing is that happened with Michael, right? His father, and listen, they're pushy parents all over the place, but anyway, his father, and folks, don't forget this, even though people might think of him as being hard, brutal, and this, that, but without that, the Jackson 5 wouldn't have formed, and you wouldn't have had a Jackson 5. So as much as you may say, oh, Joe was really hard on him, just remember, it's kind of yin and yang. If he wasn't that hard, Michael wouldn't have rose or risen to that standard of excellence. He always had it within him, but by drilling them like a sergeant major, he brought the best out of them, which is why they blew Berry Gordy away when he saw them, and he signed them up. Anyway, let me continue with my analysis, yeah? So, Michael, was catapulted with his brothers, Jermaine, Marlon, Tito, Randy. Sorry if I've forgotten anyone. Jermaine, Marlon, Randy, Tito. Yeah. And Michael would make 5. So they were catapulted into the world of show business, into the adult world, and a more cutthroat world you will not get on this planet than the entertainment business, because you are talking big bucks and you're also talking public perception in that an artist, an event, an art form, cultural icon can sway billions of people, So in the sense they become a Masonic property. Right. So Michael was catapulted with his brothers into this unbelievable world of wealth and stardom and publicity and hard graft. Right. So you take a 5-year-old, and you put him in an adult world where he has to go on tour. Now that is exploitation. It happened with Britney. It happened with Judy Garland. It happened with Mickey Rooney to a certain extent. It happened with what was his name? Come on. That kid star, Shirley Temple, and also, what was the little guy that it was in the film Kim with and he was in Quantum Leap. I forget his name. A little guy that was in the film Kim with Errol Flynn, and he was also in Quantum Leap. His name eludes me, but it'll come back to me. It's a D, I think. Anyway. Dean something or other, was it? Anyway, so, where am I for time? Right, that name's bugging me. Right, so there you are, as a child, flung into an adult world where you've got to go around the world and tours and TV shows like the Ed Sullivan Show, and you're meeting the Queen and the President of this country and that country, and you're like a fucking Apollo astronaut, right? And it is hard, yeah? You've got to perform X amount of shows and interviews and TV, this and that and what have you, day after day after day after day after day after day, flying from LA to Tokyo to fucking Italy, down to Australia, over to Britain. I mean, it's an adult world, right? So Michael was abused by adults long before he did any abusing of kids. And as I've said before to people, for a start, if I had a child, I'm not going to leave them with anyone, around their house alone to sleep overnight. Yeah? The parents that did that, a lot of them were trying to get something. They were trying to ingratiate themselves. Oh, let's leave him there with Michael. And also his whole entourage around him. I could see that a grown man's there with kids. But again, let's not get on about the kids thing and what have you. You can't ignore it. But the fact is, as I said before, his life was changed as a child. Yeah, he was being treated like an adult. Yeah, they were pimping his young sexuality because he was like a little man. So it's like, oh yeah, get the little man on stage to drive the folks wild, right? So his whole perception of the world and his psychology was changed from a very early age, where he had adults encouraging him to, move like a little man, yeah? So Michael didn't have a childhood, so yeah, he still saw himself as a child, and a lot of the things he felt he was doing, he felt were just kind of maybe sneaky or innocent or what have you. And again, all the parents, partly to blame by leaving the kids there, and all his entourage were like, yeah, let's leave that, let him do. Same thing with all the drugs, the entourage again. Anyway, I'm rambling a bit, but I'll get to the point. So, Michael grows up into this world, right, where he's touring all around the world and he's treated like a pop prince, yeah, a little demigod, yeah. But as he starts to, the thing was, right, that even then they still felt within their own country, culturally and worldwide, that they were kind of like a bit of an anomaly, yeah? Because back then, everything that was celebrated in the United States or worldwide, the ideal was seen as being Caucasian. Yeah? Let me repeat this. I haven't got anything against Chinese, black, pink, white, against any race, yeah? But the fact is, back then, worldwide in the United States, the ideal was Caucasian, straight nose, thin lips, aquiline features, blah, blah, on the front of Vogue and GQ and every TV show and westerns with John Wayne and, again and again and again and again. I mean, everyone keeps, I was told you folks time and time again that Elvis was basically singing black music, yeah? And the same thing again really happened with Eminem. If Eminem would have been black, it wouldn't have sold as many, because it makes it easier for the wider culture, the white culture, to accept it, that art form, right? And Michael, as a child growing up, could see this, that as a child, it was just accepted by practically everyone because, oh, it's cutesy. But then when he reached puberty, started to get towards adulthood, then it became something different. Then all of a sudden, he became more of a black man. And Michael, being the little perfectionist he was, and wanted so much to be accepted by everyone, by the world, suddenly thought, I'm not going to be accepted as a young adult because my nose is too wide and my lips are too thick and my hair is too kinky, blah, blah, blah. So in order to be accepted, Oh, fuck.